Hi, my name is Ariel Dodson, and when I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now, I'm 21, I will be 22 later on this year, and you might be asking me, what have I learned after all this time? Not much, apparently, because I keep making, the same mistakes. Not once, not twice, but maybe 50 to 100 different times. I'm starting to think that individuals with BPD have a hard time processing things. It's like our trauma keeps us so stuck in a loop that we don't pick up on, number one, social cues, and number two, we repeat ourselves, and it's like there's almost no mental clarity whatsoever. Now, I've made so many videos on this same topic that I'm about to talk about right now. You think I would have taken in my own advice, right? But no. Once again, I have come to realize the fact that one of my biggest problems in relationships or anything is the need for control. Okay? The need to control another human being. Now, if you've lived a while, you'll realize you can't control anybody. No one. You can't control a single human being other than yourself. And sometimes I'm not even good at that. And I've started to realize that the need for control comes from the trauma that I went through as a child that led to me developing a personality disorder. When I was younger, my dad passed away, and I grew up knowing that my father's family didn't want me. So I always grew up thinking that there was something wrong with me. Can you imagine growing up thinking like that? Number one, your dad copped out. Number two, your family doesn't want you. What does that do to a child developing? No wonder I developed a personality disorder. So something must have happened when I got older, where whenever I felt like I was being abandoned, I felt the need that I had to control somebody else, so that I could feel whole, so that the abandonment would stop. And you know how that backfires, right? Nobody, especially men, nobody likes the feeling of being controlled. Nobody likes the feeling of their free will being taken away from them. And you know what someone with BPD really likes? They like control. I will be the first to admit that I have narcissistic tendencies. When someone would tell me, hey, you're being manipulative, I would be like, what are you talking about? Being manipulative requires planning. I don't think before I try to control somebody. And you know what? I don't. But here's the thing. I try and control other people when I feel that I'm going to be abandoned, and it always backfires. Because nobody wants their free will taken from them, and nobody likes to be controlled. And do you see where those two things conflict? You cannot have love and romance when there is control involved. And somebody that's been around the block a few times, that's dealt with that, will notice that immediately. Will notice immediately that you were trying to control them, that you were using manipulative tendencies, narcissistic tendencies to control them, and they will cop out. And it's almost kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we're trying so hard to avoid that abandonment, but the techniques that we have are so manipulative and toxic that it then leads to that person leaving completely and completely abandoning you. There is nothing more toxic than jealousy and trying to control someone. And I've been talking about this for years at this point on my channel, for like 2 years now. And I still can't seem to process the information in my head, even though I know what the problem is. I can't seem to change. I can't seem to change the way that the brain works. And there's nothing worse than knowing what you're doing, but having almost no control or ability to stop it. And that is one of the things that I still deal with as a 21-year-old female living with borderline personality disorder. How do you change when you know there's something wrong with you? How? I want an answer. I've come up with all these other answers. I know what I'm doing wrong. Why can't I process it in my head? This is what you're doing. You need to stop. That is my next life lesson, apparently. I know everything I'm doing wrong. I'm controlling. I'm manipulative. I fear abandonment so much that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to where I then become abandoned. Why can't I halt these behaviors and stop? There is no such thing as love. Healthy love, anyways. Love that doesn't develop through a trauma bond. There is no such thing as healthy love when you want to control someone else and control their free will. Well, yeah, that's my TED Talk today. Thanks for listening.